there was a situation when the Roman public, during this, theatrical performances, they overate and overdrank. I heard this, and actually, you read about Caesar, Julius Caesar. You know that the first attempt, his assassination attempt, was prevented because he was so drunk. He didn't make it to the bathhouse, to the terms where they were expecting him with the draggers. He vomited, and then they dragged him to the. That's what was going on. That was Roman public. They were busy, partying all the time, and the Roman governors were responsible also for providing to the poor part of the Roman public two things. There was a motto of the Roman Empire. Two things, if you remember.
Bread and circuses.
Bread and circuses. Bread and circuses. That's it. Bread was provided from the bread basket of Rome, which was Egypt, and the rest here, circuses, theatrical performances, everything to distract the people's attention from the very important things. When my children, they are grown-ups now, when they watch this, all these movie serials for forever, and they never have time to read the Bible, that's when I start thinking, about the bad impact of all this. It's supposed to entertain us, but sometimes it entertains all of our free time. And that was what's going on here. People are distracted from thinking about why we are poor and these guys are rich, why we are in this world and everything. And the cheap performances are kept on these stages. Actually, the Roman theater is a primitivization of the rich Greek culture, where instead of the tragedies, they have this, the performances without even speaking, called mimes and pantomimes, cheap things to entertain the public. That's it. Okay, people are sitting here. The governor pays for the tickets. Okay, they're sitting here. The actors, actually, only men, they perform in this area that is called orchestra. Okay, but on the stage there were only decorations back then. Today on the stage called Scenofrons, the performance is held, but back then no. Okay, and what else? There were 4,000 seats here in the theater. Today, in the modern theater that is still operating, there is 3,800 seats. Can you hold it for me? And we know that the local governors, they greeted public here, right or not? And many of them, they were trying also to put on themselves, or to try on themselves, the robe of divine. Not only Augustus, even others, the smaller ones. And we read in the New Testament, I am standing in the lodge where normally the rulers would greet the public like this, hey, and everybody, hail, Caesar. And here we read in the New Testament, we read about Herod Archelaus, not Herod the Great, another one, after Herod, his son, that reigned in Judea. This is the guy that put in prison John, put in prison Peter, but Peter was miraculously released. And we read that after this event, King Herod stretched out his hand to harass some from the church. Then he killed James, the brother of John, with a sword. And because he saw that it pleased the Jews, he proceeded further to seize Peter also. And he went from Judea to Caesarea. I am taking excerpts, okay? And he went after that. Peter was released miraculously and everything. He went from Judea to Caesarea. Archelaus went from Judea to Caesarea here and stayed there. Then on a set day, Herod, arrayed in a royal apparel, sat on his throne and gave an oration to them. And then the people kept shouting, the voice of a God and not of a man. Then immediately an angel of the Lord struck him because he didn't give glory to God. And he was eaten by worms and died.
Yes.
Well, so funny, when I was a new believer, it was very difficult for me to believe that, kind of this fantastic story, eaten by the worms, unless I read Josephus Flavius, that confirms the story almost literally, but he doesn't say he was struck by the angel and died from the worms in his belly, but he does say that Herod Archelaus died from a disease in his stomach. There were worms. We know this disease even now. Back then it was very difficult to treat this disease, and Josephus confirms without miraculous stories, but he does confirm the story. So you better start to believe the historicity of the New Testament, because it was criticized so frequently and so much, unless you know that there are sources, a part of the gospel that can confirm many gospel stories. I see as my task also to show you sometimes these historical records that confirm the New Testament narrative. Okay, so today this theater is also operating. There are performances, and it's all reconstruction, except the first row here. is original. Down there, you see the orchestra down there. You see that there's some marble sections of the marble pavement is original. The rest is reconstruction. The stage is a full reconstruction. The steps there is original. Where you see the sandstone, it's original. This is all cavea, the seats. They're all reconstructed, and they keep today also performances here. Very famous actors come. For instance, I love Don McLean. Don McLean, you know, and well, back in the 80s he was popular, and he was here. I saw on the YouTube his performance in Caesarea.
Cool.
On this stage, 1974, Don McLean begins his performance with the words, "Politics is just a joke." And then he begins, "Starry, starry." Anyway, if you're up to singing something Christian hymn, I join you.
Yes, that's a hard no.
Anybody's here.
Pastor?
It's time for the
What
worship.
about Amazing Grace?
Everybody.
Yeah,
Sure.
time for the choir worship.
God. Joyful noise, yeah. That's what it could be.